drafts like I'm in shape.
Slayed by Talk-Nutt.
Make shots on shots like there's no takes. I'ma shine on them all like there's no shade.
There's the man. Oh boy, are you tired, Ron?
Feeling like it's game time. Game time. Suit up. It's game time.
And now, the Ron Talk-Nutt podcast.
And welcome back, everybody, for the, fourth season of the Ron Talk-Nutt podcast, the 12th season of the Ron Talk-Nutt Invitational. And we are coming to you live after the draft. I guess this isn't live if you're listening to it later, but
we're live. I'm alive.
It's a great time to be alive. All right, Megan's telling me it's the fifth.
It's the era of Discord. That's the time. The 2020s, you could say.
Nice. How are you guys doing? This is like I said, coming to you right after the draft. How you guys feeling about your teams and about life in general?
Just feeling okay about both. Let's be honest.
I'm a little depressed.
All right. Well, we figured we would do a instant reaction episode of the podcast. Do you guys just want to go team by team, real quick, strength, weakness, outlook for the season?
Sure.
Yes.
All right. Let's split up our teams. We'll do one at the beginning, one in the middle, one at the end. That's how you split things up.
Okay.
It's true.
Let's start with my team just because I was the first pick. Okay. So highlights:
right.
Connor McDavid, first overall. Went wingers early with a couple defensemen and goalies, but mostly forward heavy, I would say. What are you guys' instant thoughts?
I really like the Jack Hughes pick. I actually think Jack Hughes might be one of the better late round picks, honestly, because I think he really could break out. I mean, some of the
Look on his picture though. He looks like he's 14.
Exactly. I know. But you look at what New Jersey's done in the offseason. I mean, picking up Dougie Hamilton, and I think just that young team is, another year together. I mean, I think that could be a really good pick. I kind of actually really love what you did with the defense. I mean, having Yossi Letang as your 1-2, for how late you pick defensemen, I mean, that's a pretty darn good place to start off with.
I actually like Hronek too. He's just going to get better and better. I think Detroit can't be much worse than they were last year.
True.
I think I actually am not that high on your forwards. Like I feel like Brian Rust, like you said, can be okay, and he's going to be playing with Malkin usually, but Malkin's out. So I feel like the first 2 months is going to be worse than he has been.
Yeah.
And then once you get Malkin back, I don't know if I really want to be playing Malkin and Rust together. Like Ehlers, I think it's pretty good. I think the Brinkett was overdrafted.
That's the one thing I wanted to bring up,
is going to be
Mike, to you specifically. I don't know how I feel about. I took the Brinkett at the 2-3 turn.
That feels really high.
And I feel like
I
the forward group is gonna hinge on how he does. Like if he plays well.
I gave Kevin a lot of shit for that similar pick last year, and it didn't pay. I was right. So
well, Brian, how do you feel about your goalies? Because I look at your goalies, and punting punting on them a little bit. I mean, I think Markstrom is a really damn good pick, and he's on your bench, and he's your third goalie pick. What do you think about your goalies?
I didn't want to punt. I wanted to draft Connor Hellebuck at the 2-3 turn, but then Steve-O took him in the second round. So I like Demko. I think I got three guys that are going to start a lot of games, but I don't think they're necessarily going to be great.
Mm-hmm.
So, but I think if you're punting goalies, that's all you can really hope for.
Yeah.
I feel like that was actually, I feel like having three shitty starters is really good. Like three players that are going to start a lot of games on bad teams.
Yeah.
Just cycle in the teams that are playing 4 games, and when they win a smattering of them, and then all they have to do is have one sick week where they get like 2 shutouts or a couple wins, and you're going to be golden. So I feel like your goalie situation is not bad. Literally, I think your forwards are your worst part. I McDavid's sick, but like the rest, I'm not a big fan of kind of any of the other ones. I think Tkachuk is really good, but being obviously on Ottawa, it's not great.
Yeah. And he fantasy wise is really good. But didn't you draft him in the second round? Yeah, 2-3. Yeah, it was him and Brinkett at the 2-3 turn.
Yeah. So those are, I feel like
need production from them.
Yeah. And you'll get it from Kachuk. It's just whether or not the plus minus is going to be so bad that his 300 shots are good enough to pull it back up.
Yeah. All right. Let's not do outlook. Let's do X factor. One X factor for team. So for this team, I think it's going to be Malkin for me.
Yeah.
Drafting him in the 12th round after Mike accidentally auto drafted somebody else.
Yeah.
If he can come back and kind of bump one of those forwards off onto the bench.
Yeah.
Playoff time.
And Malkin's such a question mark because I had him last year and we were actually kind of cheering that pick on for, considering my first 2 picks were goalie defenseman, and I got him pretty late, and he had a really, really slow start. And then he kind of caught fire, and then he got hurt. And I mean, when he caught fire, it was, oh wow, this is old Malkin. So it's what Malkin are you gonna get? Is it kind of finally the wheels are off? I mean, he's had so many injuries in his career. So I think is that not the very definition of X factor? So
How old is he now?
he's about
At some point he's going to have to stop being really good, and I feel like an injury and an older guy
35.
Putting a ceiling on him. But I don't blame you for getting him that spot, but
you're right.
There may not be the Malkin then. Yeah, there's
a reason he lasted till the 13th round and not the 4th like Pasternak last year. Is you don't know what you're going to get. All right, let's move on to another team. Next, I'll just go down the list. Kind of, I got him. Jack, drafting from the airport security line on his way back to Amsterdam.
Which one is Jack?
Number 1, Nutt-Head.
There we go.
So highlights, Austin Matthews in the first.
Yep.
Looks like he went pretty heavy defense and goalie in the early rounds, I would say.
Yeah.
Adam Fox, how high did he go?
So Adam Fox,
I think second round.
I don't know. I just don't understand that. No, I don't know why he was ranked that high.
Norris Trophy winner. I mean, last year he had 47 points.
How many hockey points?
47 hockey points.
How many fantasy hockey points? Sorry.
150.
150.
So, where was he in defenseman last year?
He was probably near the top. Let me take a look.
I kind of don't
top 10.
love this.
Okay, but top 10 as a top 10 defenseman getting drafted 20
the second round. Yeah.
And I feel like I don't know. You know how they always say that there's like such thing as a sophomore slump or whatever.
Yeah.
It's not that it's a sophomore slump, it's that the person overperformed the first year. So just natural, their real average is probably lower than where they were when they got all the recognition at the beginning. So I think he overperformed last year. So the expectation is probably going to be a little worse.
Yeah. I think all that to say
better.
though, I think he's still going to, I think Adam Fox he still could be a good asset fantasy wise. This team just kind of, there's a lot of question marks to me. I mean, like even Austin Matthews in the first round, he had wrist surgery this offseason. And I think that's something to take into account. I mean, granted, he's still sick and really talented, but wrist surgery for a guy known for his wrist shot just doesn't seem ideal. And I think it was minor. What's up? Yeah.
He didn't have MS surgery.
They said it was minor surgery. It's to clean things up. And who knows? That may end up not being a factor, but when you look at the rest of the forwards, I like Teuvo Teravainen late, but I kind of don't love Oshie. Kind of don't love, Palat. Palat got a lot of points last year because he was in the Kucherov role, essentially. Kucherov's back. So the defense is good though. I do think Adam Fox is a bit of a reach in the second round, but I like Pietrangelo on that first power play. Provorov could be good. Ekholm could be good. There's some to like. I kind of don't love the forwards though.
This is a classic Jack team. I feel like he loves going 2 goalies relatively high. Yeah. So we did, agree. The forwards are going to be a little lackluster after Austin Matthews and maybe Teravainen. Defense, I think, is solid. But Darcy Kemper and Marc-Andre Fleury, I think both those guys are going to get a good amount of starts. And Darcy Kemper's on a good team.
Little
to be better.
Little skeptical of the Fleury pick. I think there's a 10% chance Lincoln wins the role kind of outright and try to make him the guy, and then have Fleury kind of take the back road veteran role and whatever. And if that's the case, that sucks for Jack.
Also with Colorado, how do we feel about Frank Hughes, however you say his last name? Because didn't he get a lot of starts a couple of years ago? When I ended up picking, and we'll get to my team later, obviously, but I was looking at, I got Shesterkin. I kind of panicked because a lot of goalies are going. But I got to a point where I was like, am I going to have to pick Kemper here? I don't know if I'd feel great about that because
Kemper.
Frank Hughes. Yeah. Well, I was.
You were going to have to pick Kemper.
I was hoping someone. I guess I was hoping someone would pick Kemper in front of me because I just didn't know how Frank Hughes would factor in. That's pretty much what I'm saying. And then I waited for goalie a couple rounds, I think, after that. So
I think Kemper's going to be sick, but I don't know.
I think Kemper's going to get probably 55 games, which is a lot now. And I love Darcy Kemper. I think he's a really good goalie.
I don't know if I think that, but I think being on Colorado, kind of the whole constellation, getting a lot of starts on Colorado. And if you think he's a good goalie, actually, like in a vacuum,
I do.
Those are all a lot of reasons, I think, to be high on Darcy Kemper. I wouldn't be surprised if he's a top 3 or 4 goalie.
Yeah. All right, real quick, X factor. Let's go no explanation. We'll try to keep it a little shorter for people. Just give me a name, X factor for Jack's team.
Adam Fox.
Christian.
I'm gonna go Fleury.
All right, I'm gonna go Tyler Seguin. All right. Next team, let's go to Kyle. Flapjacks on a Ferris wheel.
I remember correctly. He had a
highlights for Jack. He was for Kyle. He was the one who took the plunge on Cale Makar in the first round. Let's start there. What do you guys think of that?
I talked to Brian about this before the draft. That feels just so high for him. Like that, I don't know. If I had to pick a defenseman to be the best defenseman, I think it would be him. But I think there's a chance that he's not the best defenseman. At which point drafting him in the first round is like.
Well, Mike, off that, I think it's funny. I think there's a chance he's not the best defenseman on even his own team. I mean, he has Dougie Hamilton as well.
On Colorado?
No, Dougie Hamilton. Dougie Hamilton he's in New Jersey
fantasy team. Dougie Hamilton finished almost 20% with more fantasy points last year than Cale Makar.
What were the games played though? I felt like Cale Makar was out for a while.
True.
He was.
He did miss some games, yeah. And Cale Makar.
I think I wouldn't be surprised if Cale Makar had the most fantasy points per game last year of a defenseman. I mean, he was putting up almost a point a game, it felt like, for a long stretch there.
Yeah.
And I expect the same thing this year when he's playing with that. I mean, that's good. They have to be the best power play, or maybe that or Tampa. And then he also is like a stud on the regular or even strength too.
Well, and Mike, to your point too, I mean, if you're going to pick a defenseman first round, I mean, I look at the forwards and I'm a little underwhelmed, I think, but I do like Yusei Saros and Linus Ullmark and John Gibson at goalie, but the forwards, I feel like there are a lot of names that do good enough. And I don't know. I think if you pick a defenseman or a goalie in the first round, you kind of have to nail it at the forwards.
Yeah. I don't mind March. I think March shows fine. I really like Tkachuk is always a good person to have on your team. And Marner, obviously. It's those last 3. And Lindholm's been relevant. I mean, especially if they can have like a bounce back year a little bit and have, I don't know. Last year, I don't think they played Monahan and Gaudreau and him together. But if they were to, I think that would be a good. Although even it was like Backlund, I think was like the best line, right? Last year for Calgary. Was it like Backlund Tkachuk was the best?
Yeah.
The better line.
Yeah.
I think it was. And like Perron is almost a point per game guy, probably 65, 70 points. So I don't know.
I think to make a Cale Makar in the first round work, I mean, Marner's going to have to absolutely deliver, and he should. I mean, he's good. And Kachuk's going to have to play like a borderline first round, second round pick.
Yeah. Yeah. But I do love that his goalie situation is better than any of the ones that we've talked about so far.
I really wanted to draft UC Saros. I think he's going to have a really good year. And then Linus Ullmark, like they paid him to be the guy in Boston.
Yeah.
So that's 2 goalies on fairly good teams. And then he's got John Gibson just in case.
Like, what happened to Tuukka Rask? Is he on another team or he
retired or he's injured for the year?
He quit. No, he quit.
He's
I think
retired?
he said he was done. Yeah, last year because he like quit because of COVID and then said I'm done. playing.
Right. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Okay. Well, I guess what are we on X Factor now?
X Factor for
Yeah.
Kyle.
Well, I mean, for me, Matt Kachuk, kind of for the reason I just said a second ago.
I think
Mike?
I'm gonna say Brent Burns.
I like that pick. I'll go Timo Meyer.
I like that if he's worth having.
Yeah. All right. Next team, Dave. Fun getting into trouble. Looks like so he went forwards pretty heavy early.
Yeah.
I
I kind of love this forward group. I'm not gonna I was hoping Kucherov would fall. I knew he wasn't, but I mean that's a great forward group. Defense,
He's gonna need some help in goal.
yeah. What do we think about Carey Price? I mean, is Elliott going to get a lot of starts?
No. I think Carey Price is gonna be fine.
I just mean the other two. He doesn't have a starting goalie, a secured starting goalie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, isn't Samsonov's fighting with Vanacek, right? For
Yeah.
the starting spot.
Yeah.
And then Lankinen obviously is probably not going to get it, but could.
But I mean,
So
if the scenario you laid out for Marc-Andre Fleury, if Lankinen outright wins it and Fleury's kind of, that's not, I don't mind Price and Lankinen, but that's a lot of ifs, you know?
Oh, I would if I knew that Lankinen was going to be the starter, I would really like that team.
Yeah.
That goalie crew. But I think it's unlikely, but possible.
Sure.
I don't know if I like getting Fleury that high is what I meant by that comment before.
I kind of love Arvidsson on his bench too. I mean, isn't he going to be on the same line as Kopitar and I think someone else that's pretty good? If I'm not
Probably.
mistaken.
I'll bet they play 3 people on the line.
Yeah. I'm just looking at his defense. He waited to the 9th round and then went 4 defense in a row. I really don't like his defense group.
Me neither.
Drew Doughty, Sergachev, Spurgeon, Dumba, like, I don't know. I personally just like having at least 1 or 2 really good defensemen, and he's just got a bunch of waiver wire type guys, replacement level, in my opinion.
He's got 5 stud forwards.
But his forwards are great.
Yes.
And we didn't say him out loud. Crosby, Zibanejad, Kyle Connor, Nikita Kucherov, JT Miller, like, and then
Jason Robertson.
Robertson was
sick.
Like,
Yeah. Robertson was really good. I mean, Brian, did you have Robertson last year? He kind of almost won your week against me.
I did. Yeah. At the very end. Yeah. He caught fire down the stretch.
Yeah.
Almost made Kaprizov not win the Calder. Like, that's how much fear he had.
Yeah. I mean, that's
we
the
all
thing.
agree Kaprizov's really good. So.
I mean, that's the thing. You hope a forward group like that you just hope that your defenseman does average, and then your forward group just blows everyone out the water. And that's what you hope for when you have those guys.
Yeah. He's going to need help in goalie, I think, finding somebody that'll play, especially with Carey Price not starting beginning of the year.
Yeah. X Factor for Dave.
I'm gonna go Carey Price.
I'll go Samsonov. I think you know what you're getting with Carey Price. Samsonov is going to make his goalies respectable or very bad.
Mike, please say Lankinen.
I don't know. No, I mean it could be like I think he has the potential to do the best, but I think the expectation isn't that big. I think I'm going to say. How long is Crosby supposed to be out?
Not long. A couple weeks.
Is it a short one? Maybe I'm going to say Kucherov. Let's see. I think if for him, just Kucherov. That's the answer. Yeah.
Okay.
And Kucherov was so good in the playoffs too.
Yeah.
All right. Meli Kalikimaka. Let's go to PJ's team. PJ was joining us on the Discord, picking all the big Scrabble point names. Jonathan Herberder.
I kind of love his name. I kind of love his team though. Like with that approach.
I agree. I think he's good everywhere.
Yeah. I mean, Marchand was a first pick. Huberdeau kind of 3rd or 4th round. Kaprizov was.
It would have been 2nd round.
Or 2nd. Okay. Strome
2nd round's fine though.
Yeah.
Strome won me a bunch of games last year down the stretch. He caught fire and he's on the Panarin line.
He's
His
got the
D
best
is
defenseman, Alec Martinez.
Barry, Theodore, Chikrin. Like, that's a good core there. And Verhage on the bench, like, and his goalies are good. Like,
Don't
his
forget
goalies
about
are probably
Alec
his weak
Martinez
point.
there.
His goalies are probably his weak point, actually, I think. But that's a good team.
There's
I wanted Tony Bennington.
there's volatility with his goalies, I think. Like
Yes.
Bennington and Anderson, I think I could see them both being pretty good or both being not very good.
Right.
I don't see Bennington. I feel like the floor on Bennington's pretty high. I think he
Just because of
hit,
games.
oh, he hit pretty far close to his floor last year and ended up being fine. Like I drafted him pretty high, and I think he started a shit ton of games and just played really bad. But he's going to do the same thing this year at worst, and at best they're going to be a top 3 in the West.
Yeah.
Well, and the thing with Anderson, though, I mean, isn't the big thing with him injuries? Doesn't he have like a recurring issue with, I think, like a leg or a back or something? I can't remember, but isn't that always kind of the question? Like, he'll start off really hot and then just kind of down the stretch, just not playing a lot of games,
Or not play well late.
Yeah.
I know people in Toronto hated him because he didn't show up in big games or whatever.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I think good goalie situation, good D, good forward group. This is like a very solid team, I think.
Yeah.
X factor.
Can I do a twofer here?
Sure.
I'm going to do a 4-fer.
A 4-fer.
Kopitar, Hurdle, Strome, and Verhage. He needs centers that are competent compared to other centers. His centers are so bad.
I do think it's easy to find centers, but agreed, that's his weak spot.
I mean, look at his first week matchup is Megan, and it's McKinnon Aho, and like no one even comes close to either one of his.
Yeah. Christian X factor.
Well, I'll go to kind of piggyback off that. I'll go with Kaprizov, or kind of just to kind of make up for whatever you lack in centers. I mean, I think we all know Marchand's going to get his. Is Kaprizov going to have his sophomore slump? So to me, it's Kaprizov.
All right, I'm going to go Hurdle. Apparently wants out of San Jose, so let's see how motivated he is to play well. All right, let's get back to one of our teams. You want to do Christian or Mike?
I mean, as a champ, we should put me last, right?
All right, let's go Mike. I heart McDavid. Who's he going to heart this year? I heart
the centers.
I heart Mark Scheifele. I never really looked at your team. This is the first view I'm getting it. So you're getting my actual instant reaction. That forward group is pretty good. Pretty
raw
good.
Deal.
Especially when you like flip Mark Scheifele and then Leon Draisaitl boots out Chris Kreider. Like that's a really good forward group.
That's a really good defense group. Riley, Seth Jones, and Giordano is a 1, 2, 3, and Parego's a pretty good player. Like,
yeah. And I got Morrissey to throw in there too.
Morrissey on your bench,
possibly.
And then Cam Talbot, Carter Hart. I think this. I hate to say it just because it's Mike, but I think this is the best team we've looked at so far.
Damn straight.
I think it's actually quite easily the best team we've seen so far.
Also,
finally you guys are seeing the light.
I was very close to picking Leon Draisaitl first overall.
I really thought you were going to do it. Actually,
I really thought I would. I'm kind of regretting it a little bit, honestly. But yeah,
last year though, what was the difference? It was like 10% or something, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you can't not pick.
But David's not going to have like one of the best seasons in NHL history again. Maybe
Yeah,
maybe he will.
He could have better.
He could be.
Well, it's also just having that left wing eligibility is so huge.
It's so huge. It is.
Because you just bump Scheifele from your bench to your center, and then you can bump Kreider off. Like, that's huge.
Who let
Kreider's not even that bad.
Who let Blake Wheeler drop to the 8th round? Like, I know he's getting up there in age, but like, that's really good value, I think.
Yeah.
Well, I auto drafted Svechnikov like a turd. I don't want him.
But
double winger is nice.
I don't mind that pick either, though. Svechnikov is good.
Last year, he kind of let me down.
Yeah.
I traded up for him, and then whatever. Hopefully, he turns it around a little bit.
I think the big thing to talk about with Mike's team is going to be his defense. Like, Morgan Riley is really good. Seth Jones is really good. I assume he's going to get top power play in Chicago.
Mm-hmm.
Who else would
Yeah. Mark Giordano, can he give it one last hurrah for Seattle?
Yeah. For is also Seattle like it's not, I mean, that's not a good roster. I mean, where are the points coming from? But like,
Okay.
I agree.
I mean, but people did say that. I mean, this is like, I don't know if it maybe I thought Vegas got unbelievably lucky, but I just don't know if there's a lot more parity in the league than I realized. Where if you go and handpick second and third round guys or second and third line guys from every team in the league, and you can moneyball it, and they ended up making the Stanley Cup final the next year. Maybe that's just where the league is at, and this team is actually going to be a lot better than people realize. Where William Karlsson players and those kinds of guys are actually pretty good at hockey, but just not in the right opportunity. And I'm hoping that that's kind of what's going on with like Giordano. If he's on the if they're a middle of the pack team and he's the best defenseman and playing the top power play,
they're going to score power play goals, and he's going to get a hand in a lot of them. So
and also let's make this, Giordano is your third defenseman, so I mean
11th round.
You're not banking on him to be your number one defenseman.
Yeah, I'm a little surprised that you went Seth Jones though.
I think he's really fucking good.
He is really good.
It wasn't that I wanted him, it was that I didn't want anyone else that was around there. And I had only forwards at that point, I think.
And defense felt bad at the top, or like the top in the middle rounds. It felt bad. Yeah.
Well, I mean, while we're on Seth Jones, I mean, that for me, he's your X factor, I think. I mean, if Seth Jones plays to what his skill level is, you win that league. You win this league. I mean, that I really do think he could be your league winner.
Yeah, could be. I think I need some goalies to be good. I need Carter Hart to like play a lot of games, or
yeah.
I think between the three of those, I need 2 actual starters, and then I think I'm in good shape.
Yeah, and I think you'll get them. I mean, what's Philly is trying to be good this year. Are they going to start Martin Jones for 30 games? They shouldn't. So as bad as Carter Hart was last year, I think if he becomes even a middle of the pack goalie, I think Elvis, I know you auto drafted him, but like, I think that's a perfectly good pick.
I auto drafted him after putting him on my queue, not that I.
Right. Yeah.
So I clearly had clicked them.
Well, and also with Carter Hart, I mean, was it struggles last year on him, or was it bad defense? Because if it was bad defense, I mean, they invested in defense this offseason.
True.
So
your X factor is Seth Jones, Christian?
Mine is Seth Jones, although I might have just talked myself into Carter Hart there.
I'll go Carter Hart for you. I think that's what's going to put Mike over the edge.
I'm going to say Giordano.
Okay. All right. Moving on. Next up, I've got Kevin Pineapple Express. Let's see. So I haven't really looked at his team either. He went Mikko Rantanen
was his first
round,
and Quinn Hughes second.
Looks like he went deep. Oh, man, his defense is sick. John Carlson, Quinn Hughes, John Klingberg, Thomas Chabot. It's got to be the best defense in the league.
I think so.
I mean, I feel like two of those guys are.
He took a real gamble on Evander Kane.
I mean, when did he get him now? 12th round. Is he for sure not going to play?
I actually would be surprised if he does play this year. I think.
But I mean, like, do you think it's 20% chance or?
Like, no, I'm putting it over 50. I think is that what I say? Did I say not surprised?
You said not. I would be.
Okay.
No, you said I would be surprised. So my question was, what do you think the likelihood is that he is going to play?
I think there's a 50% chance that he doesn't play at all this year.
But I mean, even so,
who
get him
cares?
where he was, and then like last year, I think he was a top 30 forward.
Yeah.
So when you get him in the 12th round, and there's a 50-50 shot at him being really good at the end of the year,
he's going to get a lot of he's going to get a lot of fighting minutes if he does play. Because
but for real, I mean, that's what he brings
seriously.
every year. He brings shots, hits, and fight. And like,
I don't think you get penalty minutes for fighting your own teammates, though.
Yeah, I know. I mean, Brian, you brought it up during the Discord.
Don't laugh.
Yeah, I'll laugh. But you did bring it up that his teammates apparently want him out. Is that over the gambling stuff, over betting on his own team? And
I think that's unrelated to the gambling stuff.
Oh, okay.
I think he's just a dick.
People just fucking hate this guy. Like,
Okay.
and that was kind of the case in Winnipeg too, right? Like Dustin Bufflin threw his track jacket in the showers or something.
Oh yeah.
Bullied him.
Yeah. But
Wait, why is our remaining meeting time only 8 minutes?
I don't know.
Oh shit, this is me because oh no, that was not the week.
This is a Megan one.
Megan's.
She doesn't have her, so she switched jobs. So she used to do her company thing. Should I wake her up from her nap?
No.
Megan,
Let's
You want to just rush it? 8 minutes.
all right, let's rush it. Rapid
Let's
fire.
rush it.
Speaking
so-
of a lot of shots with Vander Kane, one guy who won't get a shot is Mackenzie Blackwood, unvaccinated. If he
shit.
can't travel to Canada and play, that makes his already questionable goalies.
He'll get a
Oh,
fucking shot.
you know, we haven't even talked about that. I mean, who does and doesn't have the vaccine is kind of a huge deal. I honestly didn't even realize that, especially if you have to
People,
go to
when it's
Canada.
costing you $1 million or millions of dollars to get a shot, I'm sure people will get the shot.
They'll get it.
Yeah.
All right, X factor for Kevin, since we got 8 minutes or whatever.
Whoever is the virologist of the New Jersey Devils team.
Mikko Rantanen.
All right, I'll say Sam Reinhart.
Yeah, I'll go Blackwood and the virologist for the state of New
right.
Jersey.
Isaac Goyer, Survive and Prosper. Looking at his team, looks like he went Panarin in the first round.
Don't mind that.
Yeah.
So Landeskog, Tavares, Panarin, Radulov, Hyman, Patrick Laine. I like that forward group.
It's really good.
Where did Patrick
I mean,
Laine get drafted? 10th round?
Really low.
That's
Yeah.
insane.
But I don't know.
I think that's insane.
I mean,
Too low?
What line is Hyman playing for? I mean, is he going to be on the top power play?
He's playing with McDavid.
Oh, Jesus Christ. That's a great pick then.
That's a great pick in the 9th. I like this forward group a lot.
Yeah. Defense has some questions. I mean, Nurse is good, but what about Weegar, Gostisbehere?
Uyghur is good.
Uyghur-
good.
Uyghur was like the 4th best fantasy defenseman last year.
Wait, was he really?
Okay.
Yeah.
He's really good. Yeah.
But was that because Ekblad went down early in the season? He moved into the top
Probably.
power play?
Probably.
But
But it doesn't. I mean, he's clearly pretty good
Yeah.
still.
I like
I'm
Laner.
I'm also bullish on Oliver Ekman-Larsson, change of scenery. But
Oh.
yeah, I think defense or goalies is going to be what makes or breaks him.
And Laner's
I
good.
don't like Shane Gostisbehere at all.
Yeah.
Too risky. But Landeskog, Tavares, Panarin, Hyman, Radulov, Laine. I mean, those are all like
That's
potentially top
Yeah.
20 guys.
Claude Giroux on his bench.
Yeah. X Factor.
I mean, I'll go Spencer Knight.
That was
I
mine.
was gonna say- Yeah, me too.
Unanimous. All right. Next up, we got Steve-O. Tar Osujimoto's. He went in on goalie early, Vasilevsky, Hellebuck. And was
Shit, and his
still
team
able
is
to
still
land
sick.
Stamkos, Barzal, Mark
Yeah.
Stone, Nick Suzuki, Marty Natchez, Torrey Krug. Holy
Okay,
fuck,
not a
Steve's
huge-
really good.
Not a huge nature Suzuki fan. I think Suzuki is going to overperform last year and will come down to earth a little bit. But
Yeah.
he still has like a really solid defense with like McAvoy, Krug, Pionk, Pollock. I mean,
Yeah.
those are all
And-
solid dudes. And like Kubalik can easily slide into one of those and be like a serviceable last forward.
Right. If you go goalie or defense or goalie first, you got to nail it on your forwards, and he nailed it on his forwards. I mean, to have Stone and Stamkos on his roster with those two goalies as his kind of firewall for a down week for any of those forwards, I mean, that's pretty sick.
This team is.
I don't know. Is it too many Islanders? Barzal,
He's got
Undersley, and Pollock?
Barzal, Undersley, and Pollock. Maybe, but they're not. He's not like counting on them a lot. Like I think Barzal's. Who cares how many other Islanders you
Yeah.
have? And like Undersley, I think is going to be in and out of the lineup. And Pollock was his last defenseman picked. So in that case, I think it's fine. I think
Still
I'm-
kind of scary when week one you're probably going to start 3 Islanders.
true.
If you have his team is going to be really tough to field when he's got a 2-game Islanders week in the
Yeah.
current form.
X factor for Steve-O's team.
I'm gonna go
Toffoli.
Stamkos.
I like the Toffoli pick. I'm gonna say Martin Natchez. All
Weren't
right.
you the one that was telling me that he sucked?
No, Martin Natchez is good.
Oh, I thought you said he was bad.
James James, I don't know how active he is, so let's give him 30 seconds.
You got Ovechkin late.
I like his injured guys that he got. I was thinking about getting Pedersen early so I could throw him on the bench and even better.
I think
His forwards, it might be the best forwards actually.
his
Holy
forwards are really
shit.
good. Bergeron,
Yeah.
Bergeron,
Ovechkin.
Pedersen, Ovechkin, Kane, Pacioretty, Besser. What the fuck? Tom Wilson, Anthony Mantha.
Anthony Mantha?
What?
Okay, Verana is out for the year though, I think.
Yeah, he's out 4 months. I was
Okay,
looking at
fine.
Verona.
Then he can throw Pedersen on the IR spot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
I mean the
Shit,
defense too. I mean,
his team is sick.
and his defense. I mean, I like Werenski and Ellis. And Taves even. I just don't know how I feel about Ty Smith with Dougie Hamilton now in town.
I don't know how I like Taves either, really.
Yeah, and Taves is not
Fine.
actually even on any power plays now that I think of it.
Yeah, he's going to be looking for defensemen throughout the year.
Yeah.
And
His
goalies too.
Yeah.
Yeah, his goalies are not good. It's not
His
great.
goalie situation's really shitty.
X
I
Factor.
mean, X Factor, I'd just go goalies, honestly, at this point.
Agreed.
Yeah, I mean, his forwards are so sick. I'll go quick. Pedersen.
We're down to 2 minutes. 2 minute drill. Who all we have left?
Megan and Christian left. So
Megan.
Let's go,
Megan's
Megan.
team,
She's sleeping, so
she went McKinnon in the first round, then Aho,
love it.
Tarasenko, Nuge, Braden Shen. Not a bad group
Yes.
of forwards.
Fucking Victor Hedman. She got Victor
Hedman.
Hedman pretty late, and that's that was a great. I wanted Hedman
I
so
like-
bad again.
I like Vince Dunn, Slavin, Heiskanen. Those are all good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
Jimmy
just
Ben.
gonna it's gonna come down to goalies. It's gonna be
Yeah.
can Capo Kakkonen steal starts from Cam Talbot enough
Yeah.
to be
Yeah.
worth a start, or can
Yeah.
she find somebody on the waiver wire to
Which she could, if
Which
she
she
just
can.
looks. Every year you can.
Yep.
And I don't know, Cam Atkinson I think could be interesting.
Yeah. Depends where
I
they
think him on a-
they've been
on-
playing him with Giroux, I think.
Yeah.
That would be really interesting. Like
Yeah.
he might be relevant. I feel like William Karlsson shouldn't be owned on her team.
That
Actually.
is Megan thinks William Karlsson. It's like one of her favorite players in the NHL. So that was her last round pick.
Well, he
Uh,
should be dropped.
X Factor.
Got 4 centers with 2 center eligible, and he's being McKinnon and Aho.
Well, maybe she'll
A
listen to
wasted bench spot.
X Factor.
I'm gonna go Kakkonen.
I'm gonna go Tarasenko.
There's only one correct answer, and it's Vladimir Tarasenko. If he gets traded, where he gets traded,
Yeah,
that's going to be a huge, huge deal. All right, Christian.
less than a minute. My team.
So Braden Point, Rupee Hintz, Taylor Hall, Pasternak, Cole Caulfield, Sam Bennett. You are banking on upside, I think.
Yep.
Like Cole Caulfield, Sam Bennett, Rupee Hintz. If they're
Rupee
good,
Hintz was like-
Taylor Hall.
I love the Braden Point pick.
So do I.
Pasternak's really good. I think this is a
Another
middle of the pack forward group to slightly below average, like maybe the 8th best.
Yeah.
But
Although
I don't know.
Capo Caco.
He's got Capo Caco and Jack
Playing
Eichel.
with
I
him.
mean, Jack Eichel is
You need Eichel to get back. You need
that's
Capo
his X
Caco to-
factor.
All right, did we get it?
All
Am I in
right,
there? Am I in here?
you are in here. All right. So before we were so rudely interrupted, we were talking about Christian's team. Where were we?
Yeah.
Christian's
Well, I
team.
think we just kind of got started. I mean, I guess here, I mean, for me, Point and Pasternak is the top 2 picks for me. I mean, that's a great start, but we were talking about how a lot of it is just a lot of risk taking. I mean, Jack Eichel is the only X factor that we should probably be mentioning, but the Sam Bennett pick back up where he started, and he really hit a stride when he got traded to Florida. I think he's still on. I think he might be on the Huberto line. Cole Caulfield did good in the playoffs, but what can he do in a full season? Taylor Hall started playing well once he got to Boston. Hintz was more than a point per game player, but he just always has gotten hurt. So there are just a lot of question marks on. I mean, this 4 group can be really good, but at its current standing, it's probably middle of the pack.
You think Rupee Hintz is a point per player kind of or point per game kind of guy?
He's at more
80
than a point per game last year.
How many games did he play? 30?
He was like 41 and like 37 or something like that.
Okay.
Let me see.
Maybe I feel like he's a 30 goal, 20 assist guy, 30 goal, 30, or maybe 35, 20 or something like that. Like he just
Like,
feels like he's a high goal scoring, low assist kind of guy.
Yeah, he was at 43 and 41, 15 goals, 28 assists.
Okay. The only thing I would say to that though is you're drafting him like he's that, so he better be that. You know, like you took him
100%
round. But yeah, I do think this is a forward group that has potential.
Yeah.
And like we said,
You guys high on Taylor Hall?
I
Not
think
really a Taylor Hall fan right anymore in Boston. I think he's good.
Yeah.
I mean, I think he's on their top power play, is he?
Might be, but he just his regular strength. I felt like he just wasn't very relevant last year.
No, he wasn't. But I mean, how much of that is? I mean, he definitely wasn't in Buffalo, but Boston, he had some good games.
How much of this is Christian drafting Taylor Hall because Taylor Hall had a sick week against me in the playoffs last year?
I mean, that's true. But also look at the first power play unit: Marchand, Bergeron, Taylor Hall, Pasternak, McAvoy. I mean,
but it's not set in stone either. I mean, that could change.
Not.
So this is like a preseason daily faceoff expectation, which could change.
The one thing why wouldn't you put him on your top power play though?
Agreed. The thing is, you are counting on Taylor Hall with this forward group.
Sure.
So,
I'm also counting on Jack Eichel to get traded to a good situation.
Yeah.
Oh, he only played 16 games with Boston last year?
Yeah.
I thought it was more than that. He was 16 or 14 points in 16 games, which is better than I would have guessed actually. So if he can keep that place up.
Yeah. I think he racked up a bunch of assists in Boston.
He had 8 goals, 6 assists in Boston.
Oh, damn.
Which is shocking to me. Because it felt like did he have like a hat trick or something one game?
He probably did.
Something like that. Goalies too. I mean, I think I just have question marks at every position group, honestly. I mean, Ekblad, Petrie, that defense is good, but I mean, what are we going to get out of Gerard? Is Tony DeAngelo going to get kicked off another team? You know, Erik Karlsson, is he still Erik Karlsson? He's not, but can he even be a fraction of that? Can Kakko be?
I like Kakko a lot. I thought your Kakko pick was good.
I like him too, but can he finally break out? He's going to have the opportunity to. I mean, he's going to be on line with Strome and Panarin. So, and then goalies. I feel like Kakko is better than Caulfield this year. And goalies, I mean, Shesterkin and Grubauer and Jari. I mean, just who the hell? I think I have guys who are just going to get a bunch of starts, but who knows if they're going to be good.
I love the Grubauer pick.
I was going to say, I feel like if you flipped where you drafted Shesterkin and Grubauer, I'd be like happier with it. Like I think Shesterkin was probably a little overdrafted just because I'm not buying that the Rangers are going to be a good team at all.
Sure.
And
when I drafted Shesterkin, when I drafted Shesterkin, I was just like, I don't love this pick. I kind of panicked because all the goalies were good. I mean, Steve-O taking 2 goalies really had that effect. So.
It did. But then again, like Grubauer is probably underdrafted. So like,
yeah,
I think sure underdrafted.
This is a solid goalie group.
I legitimately think there's a chance that Grubauer is a top like 4 goalie if he gets a bunch of starts. He's actually kind of good, I think. If they end up being a serviceable team, like if they're a bubble playoff team, I think Grubauer is a top 5-10 goalie for sure.
Also, with enough teams having goalie question marks, I can trade Jari or Shesterkin and maybe get a more solid piece on forward. Or
I don't mind Shesterkin. I feel like he's fine.
Yeah,
I think he'll be good. I think your goalies aren't bad at all.
I think the goalies.
It's the forwards to me that are a little shaky.
Yeah, I think I'm one of the few teams that doesn't have question marks at goalie. I don't have a top tier guy, but I also just don't have a question mark there.
Yeah,
they're all gonna get starts.
Yeah. And we didn't really talk about the defense group, but Ekblad's going to be good. Jeff Petrie is going to be drafted in the 9th to 10th round every single year and then be really good. And then Samuel Girard, I like that pick too.
A little less high on that compared to you guys. I think he's fine to own, but I don't know if he's going to be. I feel like just because you're paired with Makar doesn't mean you're going to get anywhere near the production as Makar, because that's what he was last year too, wasn't he?
He was
with Makar.
Yeah.
And I don't think he was really relevant.
He
was fine.
He was like
he's like fourth guy.
Yeah.
Or,
He's also just gonna get a lot of ice time because he's probably their best defenseman as well, and he'll happen to get points.
is he? I think he.
Oh,
I
people
thought.
were
I
really
was think.
people were really high on Gerard as like a Norris guy kind of last year.
Really? Oh, I
As
always
like-
think
as
of
like a-
him
as
as
like
like
a
a little
really-
fairy.
As like a
Like-
really hush Norris guy. Like I don't think he was ever gonna win it, but it was like kind of the nerds thought he should have won it.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
He feels like a little. Isn't he like 5'10"?
Yeah.
Yeah.
If that.
Like-
if that.
Like just skating around, like woo.
Yeah.
I thought he like.
Goodness
I thought
knows.
he's really good on his skates. Like I thought that was what he brought to the table. Like he would think he could skate really well
Yeah,
compared to most defensemen.
He
and
can.
he can.
Yeah.
So X Factor here.
X Factor.
I'm gonna go. I mean, it's Jack Eichel, right?
I mean, okay, non-Jack. I feel like Jack Eichel's too obvious, right?
Yeah.
Then I'm gonna go Taylor Hall. Actually, I'm gonna go Ruby Hintz. They're tied for me. It's can those
I
guys
think-
play like where
I-
you draft them?
I think I go Rupee Hintz too, Mike.
I'll go Cole Caulfield. It's one of those three: Caulfield, Bennett, or Hintz. Like,
You kind
somebody-
of got to hit all of them. Although
Yeah.
honestly, I feel like you
gotta
just
hit
have
one or
them at
two.
the end of the year. You just got to hit them at the end of the year. Like that's really it. Make the
Yeah.
playoffs and then have them get hot at the right time. I
Yeah.
mean,
That's 100% right. I mean, I think we looked at the playoffs, and I think I might have had like the 4th or 5th most points heading into the playoffs. And I caught fire everywhere and ended up with like the most points. So it's just what you can do in the last 4 or 5 weeks of the season, pretty much.
yeah, which isn't obviously up to you.
No, yeah,
yeah. All three of us safely in the playoffs, the preseason playoff predictions.
I think. I mean, the fact that we're the most active. I mean, the fact that we're doing this. I mean, we're paying the most attention. So I would say so. I mean, unless something catastrophic happens.
Yeah. So top 5 projected points week 1 is me, Christian, Steve, which we all agreed Steve had a good team.
Yeah.
Then Jack, and then Mike.
Yeah.
And then after Mike, it is Isaac
I'm actually kind of surprised I was that low because I have 27 games.
in the first week.
Yeah.
When does the game start again?
October 12th.
Hey, let's talk about, since we kind of broached the subject with Mackenzie Blackwood. Who are the notable guys who might not get vaccinated?
So it
I
sounds
feel
like
like 0.
Mackenzie Blackwood's gonna get vaccinated. Duncan Keith was making a stink. They made him get vaccinated.
He made us think about that.
He did. He's like, I wish the PA would have like supported me more. It felt like I was being pushed and had to get it.
Who's
The
Keith on? Is he on
PA?
Edmonton?
Oh, the Players Association.
Yeah. He's on Edmonton. Zach Ronaldo got cut by the Jackets because he
Oh,
sucks and because he's unvaccinated.
What a weird place to put your foot in the line or draw a line in the sand. It's like a vaccine.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, even if it doesn't work, just take it. Like, it's not gonna hurt you.
But I think this is probably a topic for like a mid-season podcast. I don't think it's going to be a factor at all.
Really?
But
Because I know last year, the factor for a lot of people was people out with COVID, with actual COVID, and I'm curious to see how much of a factor that plays this time around. And
I think
what
it's
are
going to
the
be a
rules?
lot less.
Yeah, I'm sure it'll be a lot less. What are the rules as far as, because you know how in the NFL, if you're vaccinated, it's like a much accelerated process to come back. But if you're unvaccinated, I think it's like a full 2 weeks, and that's a really big deal. That's why some guys got cut. So I am curious to see. I mean, we haven't really heard of big names like the Ovechkins or anyone like that taking this stance against
Too much
getting
money.
vaccinated.
well, you're getting
money.
a lot of reports that like, oh, this team is 100% vaccinated. This team is 99%. So like, I think the raw number is, I mean, it was news that Mackenzie Blackwood wasn't.
Yeah.
So like, I bet there's a handful of relevant players that aren't.
No, it's good. No, you're right though. It's good to revisit in the middle of the season, because I am curious to see how much of a factor that plays, especially if you've got to go to a different country where you've got to be vaccinated.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean it should be irrelevant. I feel like this year,
Agreed.
like it's not like it's hard to get the vaccine anymore, and like
No.
we have a vaccine, whereas last year we didn't. So I think it's just like a totally different story
Yeah.
than last year. Like last year, I mean, when an outbreak happened, it was just like, well, shit, these players aren't going to play for a week. It's like, all right, figure it out as a fantasy owner, and like this year, I think that should be kind of to a minimum. Like I would be surprised if there's many games postponed because of COVID at this point.
I would agree. Yeah. Well, anything else you guys wanted to talk about before we get out of here? I think that was a nice little recap. We shortchanged a couple teams, but
who's the best team?
You are asking that because I said it was you earlier, but that was before we got to Steve-O's team. I think Steve's got the best team. I think you have the best forward group, but I think Steve's got the best team.
What's his goalie? That's just because of the goalies.
Vasilevsky, Hellebuck, and then
like I think my defense is
his defense is sick too, though.
Not that mine's sick.
I think it's you two. I think it's you two have separated yourselves though. There's a,
Actually, I think my defense is better.
I think
Riley,
I think Mike's
Mark
I think
yeah, and
Mike,
then
I think
Morrissey's on my bench.
I think your defense is yeah. I don't think it's
Mike,
huge, but it's an edge.
I think Mike's defense is better. I'll go Mike over Steve-O, but it's close. I mean, just dry
so I won't make the playoffs this year.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Well, I'm also be biased because I mean Barkov was so goddamn good for me last year. So I just love anytime I see a team with Barkov on it from now on.
I had the Hubbardo.
The real question is what's your team name going to be this year?
Got to figure it out. I love Leon.
You've got until end of October to change your name and or your picture to get
I'll probably put the name. I do a pretty good job changing the name every year, but I need my roster because I name them after my roster.
For sure.
So maybe I'll be like do I own name Keeping Up with the Joneses Part 2?
Will help. I mean, honestly, you could even do I Heart Ma ... arcs because you have Mark Giordano and Mark Scheifele.
That would be a stretch.
Christian went the I think you should leave route. That's what I was going to try to do, just because it's so popular in the zeitgeist.
Yeah, it's so yeah. My name and logo is pretty good.
I like your logo, and you've got a good one. You got a good one.
Yeah, I mean it works because your dad's name is Dan too. Like,
and a flash is like, isn't that like sperm kind of like?
Yeah, sort of. I guess I don't know. That's like I was like thinking like the glint in his eye, the flash.
Yeah,
that's kind of what I was thinking. Like yeah. And then of course like the goddamn.
Or is it because I'm so fast? Is it
that too? But also just I mean, goddamn, I love that fedora sketch so much.
It's not a sketch; it's a picture.
No.
That one, yeah.
Did they do a skit on there? I don't remember.
Yeah, the courthouse, the text message in court, and he's like, "What the hell?"
The fedora with the furry flaps. And his name was Brian.
Season 2 is just so much worse than season 1.
That was a great sketch, though.
Wasn't that
only
like
good
your
one?
Favorite one, Mike?
Haunted House.
I mean, wasn't that like your second favorite one though?
It was so Haunted House, and then that's it.
Oh, okay.
I mean, kind of for real. That's how I feel about that. But I've only seen it, and I did the same thing with season 1, where it was like, thought it was really shitty for probably the first. Well, we've talked about this 100 times, but shitty at the beginning. Oh, what a weirdo! Look at that little weird pup.
Hey, she wants to make out with me right now. Hi.
Hey, Ella.
Oh, who's that? Hey,
Ella. Oh.
All right. Anything else you guys want to talk about?
Good draft, boys.
Yeah, good draft. Good luck this year.
I think we're actually going to get a lot more. I actually honestly tipping the hat to the commissioner because I do think some of the new rule changes are going to, really lead to a little bit more of an active league, and that's always a better league.
It's been better and better every year.
It really is. Yeah. Also, very excited for continuous waivers. I think that's going to be big. I think that's going to be.
Are you, Brian?
I am. I've been championing this for
years.
2 years. So, all right.
I just want Isaac to drop somebody really good and make it that I can drop $100 on him and then not have to worry about it ever.
and then you're never going to get your little 4-game pickups because
I know it's
I'm
some
going to bid
bullshit.
$1 on them on every single one, and not even.
I know what business you're up to, and it's pissing me off, right?
That is going to lead to some really neat strategy down the line of like, do you drop $100 on certain players that are waived at risk of, oh, I can't pick up this guy who's all of a sudden doing really well because other people are just going to outbid me on the continuous waivers. I do think that's going to be a really, really cool wrinkle. So,
or at least it makes it so that you have a bigger advantage when it comes to when those players get dropped. Like to be not just have to wait on a waiver when everybody's putting in 0 bids or whatever.
Yeah.
Right.
All right. Well,
All right. Good podcast.
I got.
Yeah.
Good luck. And,
Happy to be back.
Thanks to all the Nutt-Heads out there for listening. All right. I'll talk to you guys later.
Yep. Later,
See
y'all.
ya.
Have a good one.
Yep.
Y'all ready for this?